The sea was on fire, not the ships, the water. An entire fleet, hundreds of vessels, thousands of men who had come to take the greatest city on earth, burning on the open sea, in flames that the waves could not put out. The men who tried to jump into the water to escape found that the water was burning too. This happened in the year 678, almost 800 years before gunpowder reached Europe, and the weapon that did it would go on to save an empire for 400 years, and then vanish so completely that to this day, no one can say for certain how it was made. This is the story of the deadliest secret of the ancient world, and how its own keepers erased it. To understand the fire, you have to understand the city it protected. By the 7th century, the Roman Empire in the west was gone, fallen. But in the east, one piece survived, Byzantium, and at its heart stood Constantinople, the richest, most heavily fortified city in the world. The last door between the armies of the East and the whole of Europe. And in 674, that door was under siege. The Arab Caliphate, the fastest expanding power the world had ever seen, had swallowed Persia, Syria, Egypt, North Africa. Now it came for the prize. A vast fleet sailed into the waters around Constantinople and settled in to strangle the city until it starved. By every measure, Byzantium should have fallen. It was outnumbered, surrounded, and running out of time. Instead, it did something no one had a defense for. It set the sea on fire. The question is how, and the answer is a weapon, so guarded that we are still arguing about it 14 centuries later. The Byzantines called it simply liquid fire. History would call it Greek fire, and it broke every rule fire is supposed to follow. It stuck. Whatever it touched, wood, rope, cloth, skin, it clung to, and kept burning. It couldn't be put out. Water didn't just fail to extinguish it. Water spread it. It floated on the surface of the sea, still burning, turning the ocean itself into a weapon. Some accounts say it came with a roar and a wall of smoke, like a living thing. Put yourself on one of those Arab ships. You have crossed 1,000 miles to take a city. And then the water lights up. The ship beside you is gone in seconds. The men in the sea are burning. There is no order to give, no counter to make. There is only fire that will not die. The chronicler Theophanes tells us the new weapon destroyed the Arab fleet outright. And here is the first weight on the ledger. This wasn't a one-time miracle. When the Arabs came back for a second, even larger assault, in 717, Greek fire broke them again. Twice. This single weapon turned back the most powerful empire on earth from the walls of Europe's greatest city. Historians have argued that without it, the map of the world would look nothing like it does now. So, what was it? That is where the Byzantines get clever and secretive. Here is the mistake almost everyone makes about Greek fire. They think it was a recipe, a magic liquid, a formula on a scroll. It wasn't. It was a machine, because a terrifying liquid is useless if you can't deliver it. And the Byzantines had built something no one else had, a pressurized delivery system, bronze tubes, called siphons, mounted on the prows of their warships. Behind them, a sealed bronze chamber where the fuel was heated, and a pump that built up pressure. Work the pump, open the valve, and a jet of flaming liquid shot out under pressure. A medieval flamethrower on a ship 1,200 years before the flamethrowers of the world wars. Some ships even had the nozzles cast as brass lion heads, so the fire appeared to roar out of a beast's mouth. And the fuel. Modern chemists are fairly confident about the base petroleum, crude oil, which the Byzantines could gather from natural seeps around the Black Sea, thickened with pine or cedar resin, into something that handled and burned much like napalm 1,000 years before napalm existed. But, and this is the whole point, knowing the fuel is not the same as knowing the weapon. Getting it to work meant the right crude, the right resin, the right temperature, the right pressure, and a trained crew who could do all of it on a pitching wooden deck without burning their own ship to the waterline. Too little heat, and it wouldn't spray. Too much, and it exploded on your side of the siphon. Greek fire wasn't one secret. It was a dozen secrets working together. A fuel, a machine, and the men who knew how to marry the two. And the Byzantines guarded every single one of them like the life of the empire depended on it. Because it did. So how do you keep a weapon secret for 400 years? You make it a sin to share it. The knowledge was locked to the imperial workshops and a small number of families who passed it down, generation to generation, and to no one else, not allies, not mercenaries, not even most of the Byzantine army. And at the very top, it wasn't treated as engineering. It was treated as holy. In the 10th century, the Emperor Constantine VII wrote a private manual for his son, instructions for ruling the empire. And when he came to Greek fire, his warning was chilling. He told his heir that the fire had been shown and revealed by an angel to the first Christian emperor, and that the angel had commanded it be made only by Christians, only in the imperial city, and shared with no foreigner. Ever anyone who tried to give the secret away, he wrote, should be regarded as accursed. Think about what that means. The most powerful man in the empire is telling his own son that this knowledge is not his to give, that it belongs to God, and that betraying it is damnation. That is how you keep a secret for 4 centuries. It is also exactly how you lose one forever. Because a secret that lives only in a few minds, in one city, has a fatal weakness, it can only survive as long as the city does. And in the year 1204, the city fell. Not to the enemies it had burned on the water, but to men who were supposed to be its allies. The armies of the Fourth Crusade, Christians themselves, turned on Constantinople, stormed its walls, and sacked it. For 3 days they burned and looted the greatest city in the Christian world. Fires tore through entire districts. The imperial administration, the workshops, the records, the chain of families who held the pieces of the secret was shattered and scattered. And notice what the chroniclers don't say. In the desperate defense of Constantinople in 1204, there is no mention of Greek fire. The weapon that had saved the city again and again was simply not there. The system that made it had already begun to come apart, and 1204 finished the job. When the smoke cleared, the fuel sources lay in territories now lost to new powers. The workshops were ash, the families were gone, or silent, and there was no longer an empire organized enough to put the pieces back together. The secret didn't leak, it didn't get stolen. It starved, with the system that fed it. So here is the answer to the question we opened with. Could we make Greek fire today? In a sense, yes. In the way that matters, no. In 2002, a British historian named John Haldon actually built one. A full-scale bronze siphon, heated crude oil, wood resin, a hand pump. And it worked. It threw fire 15 meters across the water, at over 1,000 degrees, proof that the machine is real and recoverable. But that reconstruction is an educated guess. A modern mind reverse engineering fragments, not a copy of a surviving recipe, because there is no surviving recipe. There never was one to steal. The Byzantines were too careful for that, and that is the deeper truth the myth misses. Greek fire was never really a formula. It was a system, a specific fuel, a specific machine, specific hands, and an empire disciplined enough to keep all of it secret and all of it running. At once, you can rebuild the siphon. You cannot rebuild the empire that gave it meaning. They guarded it so perfectly that they didn't just keep it from their enemies, they kept it from the future, from us. The secret worked exactly as designed, right up until the moment there was no one left who was allowed to know it. We like to think knowledge only moves forward, that once humanity learns something, we keep it. Greek fire says otherwise. It says the most dangerous thing you can do to an idea is protect it too well. An empire fell and took a piece of human genius down with it, not because it was forgotten, but because it was guarded into oblivion. And Byzantium isn't the only civilization that buried its brilliance to keep it safe. The next time, it wasn't a weapon they hid, it was a map. one that redrew the world and then quietly disappeared. This is Provenance, where we trace the origins of the things the world made, lost, and very nearly forgot. If a story like this deserves to survive, you know what to do.